Welcome to the Monsters of the Gridiron podcast.
Yo, welcome to another edition of Monsters of the Gridiron. We got Samo in the building. Give a shout out there, Samo.
What's up to everybody out there in the chat? We back with another one. This will be a good show today.
Absolutely. T-Spain, show the chat some love.
What's going on, good people? I know I'm not the only one that's ready for football. As you see, I got my jersey on, so let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Walt, let them have it, Walt.
Yeah, just hope you guys are having a great day, and let's ready to rock. So let's go.
And we got Swifty. He'll be joining us shortly. And we got a special guest tonight, Josh Buchhalter, coming from Clocker Sports. So he'll be joining us here pretty soon. Like, look, guys, tonight, look, it's gonna be wide open because everybody's yearning for football. We in that dead heat of the summer where it's just like we're trying to pass time and make it to training camp. But I'm telling you, it's still some content that we can talk about because the buzz the last couple of days, who we gonna sign? You know, a lot of stuff being put out there like 1 or 2 weeks before training camp. We're gonna snatch up an edge rush. And then what are some of the roster battles that we want to look at going into training camp? Because unlike the last previous 2 years, like it's some position groups that some talent is not gonna make it. That's secondary, wide receivers, just to name a few. When you're looking at like, look, there's some guys that, man, they really gonna have to come out in training camp and lay it out all on the line between the white lines, because man, it's gonna be hard to make this roster. So, Samuel, let me start with you. Like when you look at some of the thing, I know we got the hard rock and all that. No, is it what is it called? Is it hard rock?
Hard knocks.
Hard knocks.
Yeah, hard knocks. Hard knocks. Yeah, I'm thinking about Hard Rock Cafe. But yeah, when you looking at when we getting ready to get this peek behind the curtain, you know, of everything that's going on, and then just look even the special team, because we should have one of the top 5 special teams this year with Torrey Taylor. We're gonna have Bayless back there. We're gonna have Carter back there. So with that being said, let's look at the special team group before our special guests come on. And who do you guys think is going to be the punt returner, kick returner, and who y'all think is going to be ousted that probably would have had an opportunity if it wasn't for the last acquisition we just made? What you think, Samo?
Man, I think it's a good battle. It's going to be a really good battle now. See, we just brought Carter on. That dude has some notches on his belt, man. That dude has put up some numbers in the kick return game. So he is direct competition for Velus Jones and who's the rookie running back from Howard again. I can't think of his name, but that
Ian Willer.
Ian Willer, yeah. Ian Willer was a guy who we thought was going to have a fair shot. Man, I like it. I like that, we're bringing in competition. And Ryan Poles put it out there. He said it's going to be hard to make this team. And how do you make it hard to make this team? You put competition at every position and put guys in place to compete, because that's what's going to bring out the best in one of these guys or two. Maybe one guy might shine and then the next guy might make it so you can't cut him. That's what happened to, what was that, Terrell Davis back in the day. What was that, 90, 92, 93, 94? Terrell Davis, man, was not going to make the team. Last game, man, he shined on special team, and now he's a Hall of Fame running back, man. So, it can happen for anybody. My suggestion to those guys is just to go out there and compete, man. And I like what we've done with this roster. And, man, special teams is going to be special, just like you said. We have some special players that are going to compete on that side of the ball. We're in that phase of the game, should I say, with Torrey Taylor. We have a good kicker. The other thing that we have to consider is we don't know who's going to be kicking the ball on kickoffs because of this new rule now. That place kicker is going to have to be able to tackle. And I don't know if you as a team, if we as a team want to put our kicker in harm's way, man. It's all it takes is for him to pull a hamstring trying to make a tackle, or jam up a shoulder, or anything that's gonna put us in bad position and lose our field goal kicker, man. That'll be the worst thing that could happen. So it'll be interesting to see how creative teams get with that rule and with the new rules of the kicking game to see who will exactly be kicking the ball.
What you think, Terry?
Yeah, I think Samo hit a lot of the key points. One of the unique things that we definitely going to have is that we already locked down our kicker. There's a lot of people don't realize how important kickers are until they miss the field goal or they need a kicker, But I think by us having Cairo Santos there, that's money for us. And then the punter that we drafted, Torrey, the guy has a foot, man. He has a mega foot, you know what I mean? So everybody's all excited about him. This is the first time that a lot of people have gotten excited about a punter like that, you know what I mean? But this guy really is going to show his talents from there. And I don't think Velus Jones Jr., I mean, I know he's in the hot seat, but I don't think it's as hot as people think. I think Pettis might be gone out of all of them. But yeah, Carter, who we signed, I had an opportunity to look at some of his film from previous years, and he can flat out fly, but he finds seams on how to get through. He makes himself skinny while he's returning punts. So I think if he's only thing he's going to do is make Velus Jones Jr. better, because with his kickoff returns and the new rules, I wouldn't be surprised to see some trickeries too. You know what I mean? It might open up to quite a few things. And if you got speed, because that's one thing you can't teach is speed. If you got speed on the field, I think this is going to be a great thing that works for the Bears, and it will be wonders for our offense, because as you know, when we had Devin Hester, we was already looking to be at the 50-yard line each kick, punt and kick. So we were kind of used to that. We got accustomed, and Devin Hester got us spoiled to being and have great field position every time he touched the ball. So I think we're going to see that again, and that's going to work wonders for Caleb Williams as well.
Well said, guys. I mean, I can't really add too much in there because you've hit on a lot of my points. I really like Velus Jones Jr. I think he's going to break out this year, especially with the change to the kickoff design and all that. Looking at the special teams, the main guys, your kicker and your punter, we're in a position where we have two solid guys with Cairo Santos and Torrey Taylor. And say what you want about picking a punter in the 4th round, the kid's good. All right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And even with DeAndre Carter, I was a little bit hesitant on him at the very beginning. He's 31 years old. I don't see him pushing Velus Jones Jr. out of the kickoff return role. However, he can knock off Dante Pettis, who I'm not a big fan of anyway, so good riddance. But it'll give you speed on both sides of the kickoff return as well as the punt return that you didn't have last year. And
that's true.
That's going to be big. It's going to be big.
And it's when you meet these guys and you develop a rapport with them, because like I met Dante Pettis and we had some extensive conversations, and it's like he can see the writing on the wall, even before they signed Carter, with the acquisition of Freddie Swain and then they brought in John Jackson, which is Caleb's best friend. So just seeing the acquisitions that were made to create more competition on not only for the kick return, punt return, but for the 5th, 6th wide receiver. It's like, look, the writing's on the wall. And then you look at somebody like Torrey Taylor, he was the best offensive weapon for Iowa. Like, people don't even realize that. Like, I think he had like 93 punts, and the way he places the ball, whether you call him Legatron or punt god, or I was thinking about calling him the crocodile punter instead of the crocodile hunter. But I see Squeegee already stole the name. So, like, when you look at this guy, how his placement when he kicks the ball inside the 5, I've never seen anything like he has a talent and an art that especially in the wintertime, it's gonna play huge dividends for positioning of the offense, but also for the defense when he's gonna be pinning a lot of the opposing offenses inside the 10, inside the 5, where they're gonna have to go the length of the field, which again, I think our defense is gonna step up to the plate, and it's gonna be a lot of 3 and out, 4 and outs, 5 and outs, like where they won't be able to go the length of the field. So I really like our special teams, the way it's set up right now. And that's some of the battles I'm gonna be looking at. I know a lot of people, like you said, because I was bored one night, I couldn't sleep, so I just started looking at 2006. Like, what was the recipe for us to get to Miami? And it was special teams, like Terry said earlier, with like all the starters from the defense was on special teams. Like you would see Hunter Hennemeyer and Urlacher and Brendan Aiyuk-Badejo, he was always a special team ace. But when you see who was on special teams leading the charge, Israel Adonijah, and we didn't even have, we had Wasim Muhammad and Bernard Berry and Desmond Clark and Sexy Rexy under the snap. And I'm looking at his number, like the one game against Minnesota, like his passer rating was 1.3. Like the defense and special teams, if we'd have had an offense that year, like consistent offense, we'd have went undefeated and we would have destroyed the Colts in the Super Bowl. So now when I'm looking at, now offense, we got 3 number 1 wide receivers, a top back, two good quality tight ends, and we got depth at the skill set position. But the biggest thing I'm looking at, as we always talk about, is the trenches. If we can get some consistency out of the trenches and you marry that with our special teams and our defense, we now control all 3 phases. And that's why when I'm looking at our record, I'm like, man, if the offense clicks, because the defense always normally starts out faster, but if that offense clicks to where Caleb is comfortable under center, he's comfortable with his reads, he's comfortable with his progressions, the ball's coming out, because he got 3 of the best route runners at wide receiver in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like think about it.
Yeah,
DJ Moore is a yak merchant. Who's a better route runner than Keenan Allen? And Rome is a great route runner, but also a great 50-50 ball and running a 4-4. And then you throw Tyler Scott in there on some 4 wide receiver sets.
Fly route.
Come on now. Like the sky's gonna be the limit. And that's why I know everybody said tone down the expectations, but I'm like, how can you tone down the expectations when you see what we got? And if we bring in just an average edge, a Houston or Unique to come, because we already know Ted's gonna get double teamed. It's gonna be a lot of one-on-one matchups for Big Dex, Bill, Walker, but it's all about winning those. And if we can get one more defensive lineman to come on that line and bring some consistent pressure, 10 to 15 snaps a game, it's going to be some slow singing and flower bringing in the NFC.
Sure. Hey, let's bring in our guest and talk about it then. Let's
go. Is he in? Ready?
Yeah, he's ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. There you go, baby. What's up, man?
How you guys doing tonight?
What's going on, man?
How you doing, brother?
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I'm doing well. Thank you.
We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because you one of the premier beat writers in the Chi. So for you to take time to come and chop it up with us on a Friday night, hey, that lets me know that you're really committed and dedicated to the cause.
That's very kind of you to say. Also, it shows I have no life. So here we go.
Hey, brother, like I said, and look, we all in that boat, but I'd rather us come together and collaborate on something like this that unites us and brings some positivity than, to be out there in situations that's not conducive for our growth and personal and professional development. So, hey, tell the audience who you are, Josh, and what you do. Give them a quick background before we get hot and heavy in this thing.
My name is Josh Buchhalter. I am the managing editor of Clocker Sports, founder of Clocker Sports. I cover the Bears I've covered the Bears in person for the last 3 years. I've been covering them for a lot longer than that, writing about it. I also cover the NBA for Heavy, NFL for Heavy, and for the Fansided Network. So you find me a lot of places, but my baby is the Clocker Sports and the Bears coverage.
Okay, and you do a phenomenal job, very detailed, in-depth analysis, and we're gonna definitely, like I said, get you more exposure because the way you report, it really gives us the insight that I don't even think Hard Knocks can provide. So we applaud you for the effort, Josh. Like I said, you do a great job, and it's not going unnoticed, my friend.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Samo.
I'm just gonna tell guys, go follow Josh's page on YouTube. Man, he has a lot of good interviews with players in the locker room. Like Will has said, man, he does a lot of gives you a lot of insider information that we typically don't get. And I don't know if enough people have visited Josh's page to see that good content, but it's out there and it's some really good stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of that this season.
Thank you again. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The covering the game is a lot of fun too, but the interactions with the players has definitely been the best part of it all. Just seeing how their responses, how they've the change that they go throughout the season and everything like that has really been fascinating for my personal growth as well.
Now, Josh, before we get hot and heavy, and I know it's Bears, so before we start talking Bears and your journey, are you looking to add the Chicago Sky to your platform as well? Because I see you be following the Hawks too, and Trae Young's my guy, so I peep up on that.
Yeah, I gotta sleep sometime. I have the plate is pretty full right now, man, and I'm a family man too. Got 2 wonderful kids and a fiance, so I have to squeeze life in as well.
But like I said, at the end of the day, you're great at what you do. Like as far as the insight, very detailed analysis, and I think that in itself is one of the key attributes as far as covering sports and especially the Bears. You're giving insight that a lot of people, it's more entertainment. You're giving more in-depth analysis to make us feel like we're part of the organization in Hallis Hall, in training camp. We're getting a breakdown, injury, who's hot, who's not, all the position battles. Like you're very detailed, but going to even further detail as to why the decisions are being made the way they're being made. So just give us a little background. How did you get started, Josh? And just give us some insight of what to expect going into the 2024-2025 season.
Yeah, so I am a proud graduate of the Illinois Media School, and it was instantly got into radio after that, and then found my way into just writing. I could not stay away from covering sports, and so I kept writing, and got through into a company in 2018. Last Word on Sports, hats off, shout out to Last Word on Sports, and helped me get in. And from there, it's just kind of skyrocketed. New opportunities and branching off into more coverage. And like I said, it's just been a fun journey to kind of see where everything has gone from a place where I could have never imagined it gotten this far, to be honest with you. I was working in a warehouse not long ago, and so kind of just turned the entire situation around and followed the passion. And here we are. And like I said, you talk about the in-depth part, and that's really what made me want to get into it, not necessarily just doing surface level stuff.
Go ahead, Samo.
All right, so I'm just gonna say, brother, we salute you and we will continue to support you. Hey, everybody out there, go follow Clocker Sports on YouTube and on Twitter. This brother has a lot of good information, a lot of good content out there. Let's get into it though. We were discussing right before you came in the trenches, specifically the defensive line right now. What are your thoughts on the position as it stands, and if there are any additions that need to be made? And I think we all feel the same way, like that unit is missing a piece or a player. If no one steps up, then it's going to be a unit that's heavily reliant on Montez Sweat. And I don't know if we want to go into the season that way. What are your thoughts?
No, so I know they're expecting even bigger things from Tez this season. They've done a lot to try to work on his body. They talked about that when he came over from Washington. They felt like there was another level that he could reach in that regard. I know they're extremely high on Javon Dexter Sr. Former defensive tackle Justin Jones was telling me about him last year, how he thought he was going to have a really, 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 really good career. And I'm not even exaggerating. That's how he told it to me. Jones was a big fan of Dexter. And so I'm assuming by letting him walk and not replacing him directly, the Bears are as well. On that other side, though, opposite of Montez Sweat, I like DeMarcus Walker. I think I like DeMarcus Walker better as a guy off the bench who can give you something inside and outside, and that versatility allowing you to unlock some more combinations up front. The problem is, who are you going to get to replace him? The connections. I think I heard you guys talking about a few names. Justin Houston, Yannick Ngakoue is a guy that I wrote about over at Clocker Sports. He's talked about how he's working his way back and he's getting close to being healthy and ready to go again. I would not be surprised to see Ngakoue return. I remember he signed late in the process last year, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him follow a similar path on a cheaper deal because he did come off the season hurt. He did not produce as much. At the same time, I could see him wanting to go somewhere else and maybe where he feels that he could produce a little bit better. Maybe somebody offers him more money because they get desperate as we get closer to training camp. Who knows? But I do think that they could benefit from adding another body on the other side to allow really Walker to do what he's best at, and that's kind of give you that versatile punch off the bench.
Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, I think you was spot on with that, Josh. So, and I know we talked about special teams too. So, who do you feel that is going to be have a significant role for the Chicago Bears on special teams?
So, I don't know if you guys have heard the detailed, I guess, coverage that Sean Payton from the Denver Broncos has been given about this, but he's talked about it in depth about how he thinks it's going to really change how you build rosters. We've heard about the Kansas City Chiefs using safety Justin Reed to do kickoffs. There's going to be room for two returners, obviously. So I heard you guys talking about Carter and Velus Jones. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a matter of unseating anybody. I think it's going to be two guys back there who gives you the best option to kind of bring the ball back, and then the other guy can block. But from there, the Bears have done a really good job of finding backup linebackers and defensive backs. And I think that that's going to be a really strong unit for this group as long as the new rules play out how they are planning them to. The play won't start till somebody gets their hands in it. So I don't know. I don't want to make any projections, but I do think that they have typically done a really good job of finding those depth pieces that you find along the special teams units on both sides.
Go ahead, Walt.
I did want to bring up Khalil Herbert. I feel he's kind of almost the odd man out in the situation. You have DeAndre Swift signing at the very beginning of the offseason. There's Roschon Johnson breathing down his neck on top of that. Where do you see him in terms of this roster now? And is he more than likely on the bubble of possibly getting moved at the trade deadline?
I always default to follow the money, right? I think the first thing that you notice is that they brought in another running back. This was after they drafted a running back that they were high on last year. So, and Khalil Herbert is a guy who was here before the current regime. So, as much as they may like the guy, the moves that they've made since then show you that they have at least a contingency plan if things don't work out for him. And you didn't bring in a DeAndre Swift to be your backup guy or to play third fiddle, even in a situation where you're having Roschon, because he's going to be involved. Roschon is. He's the biggest back there. You need somebody to eat up those tough yards and run between the tackles. I don't know if you want to expose Swift to that. Herbert handles it, but I've seen him post game be a little beat up sometimes, and we know that he's missed time as well as a lead back. So it's going to be a committee kind of group. I'm not sure what the split's going to necessarily be, but if there's one person who's probably facing an uphill battle to make a big mark this year, it's going to be Khalil Herbert in my estimation.
Those are great points, Josh. So I'm gonna go back to the defensive line, then we're gonna go to the offensive line. Other than Javon Dexter, and we already know Sweat as the force multiplier, because you mentioned Justin Jones, and realistically, the reason why he got paid is because after the Sweat came, he started getting those sacks, which really increased his value. And the Cardinals, as you can see now, they got 3 former Bears on their defensive line, and Jones, he really benefited from the whole Sweat multiplier. So what other, and you can't say Billings, if you look at what other defensive linemen, because I got one that that I know very well, and I told him he's gonna have a great year. Who do you think that's not being mentioned on that defensive line that's going to have a breakout year?
It's got to be Zach Pickens.
Oh, okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, if you look at the hype from him and Dexter coming in last year, both of those guys were thought of very highly. They had kind of inconsistent playing time last year because of just how everything went throughout the entire season. Let's just be honest. It was not really smooth for the entire process. So, and then they had him learning nose tackle role. I'm interested to see if they kind of have him do some more hybrid stuff, which would just mean more playing time. There's not as much proven depth there. So he's going to have more snaps if he's going to be successful, or rather if they're going to be successful, and he needs to step up. So if there's anybody that I think would have the best chance to have a surprise impact, I guess you could say, would be definitely Zach Pickens.
And do you think that he would be more effective at the 3 tech than at the 1 tech or the nose guard?
I think honestly that him and Dexter would benefit from an approach that they're taking with the safeties, where it's more left-right than a nose and a 3 technique type of deal, because that in and of itself allows you to disguise what you're doing from the defense that much better, gives you that much half split second or whatever of reaction time, because they're still trying to decipher what you're doing. And I think both of those guys profile as the type of players who can play a variety of roles. So I wouldn't want to pigeonhole them into any type of role like that, to be honest with you.
Right. Samo, go ahead, Samo.
Yeah, let's just keep it right there at the defensive line, man. I absolutely agree with you, man. I believe Jack Pickens is going to have to step it up this year. And I think the Bears have a lot of faith in Pickens and in Javon Dexter, given the fact that they haven't went out and re-signed any other replacement for Justin Jones. My next question for you, though, regarding the defensive line is they didn't re-sign anyone, but they did bring in 3 guys in particular that I'm interested in, and one being Austin Booker, and we have Jeremy Croma and Keith Randolph, man. What are your thoughts on those 3 guys and their the opportunity ahead of them? Because, given the fact that the Bears didn't bring in anyone in, they're looking for production from the defensive line. I think that it's an open competition for those guys. I think they have the opportunity to make the team. Have you seen anything from those guys that make you feel like, any of those guys really have an opportunity to make an impact on this team and really make this roster?
So I'll preface all this by saying I have a very limited in-person viewing window. I only got to get to a couple of OTAs. I'll see a lot more during training camp. So I want to just put that out there first and foremost. That being said, I did see Chroma pop a couple of times while I was out there. And I know that they are very high on Booker, and that the opinion on Booker is that the Bears got a steal. So that would be the guy that I'll probably watch out for more than anything. I learned after last year and seeing Terrell Lewis do what he did that the training camp or preseason production doesn't always translate to the next level, but I will take what I've seen at the college level and what I'm hearing from other league types as something that's positive, and that's that Booker is a guy that you got to watch out for, especially once he gets some more mass on him. He's a bit slight right now, but off season in the weight room with a nutrition plan could get him right by week 1, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Great.
Well, that's great insight. And mentioning Terrell Lewis, he's definitely a track star we saw on Twitter the other day in that hotel room. So hey, I'm glad we dodged that bullet.
We know we can catch the quarterbacks. We didn't know he could run away from people like that, right? I guess we didn't know he could. He just got away.
So look, let's go to the other side of the trenches real quick before we hit these skill set players, Josh. Like on the offensive side of the ball, and I see everybody online clamoring for the center that's a free agent from Miami. Like, do you realistically see? Because I'm thinking Ryan Bates at center, but I'm also thinking, or it could be the center we got from the Rams, and then put Ryan Bates at right guard if Nate Davis is not ready to go. Like, what are your thoughts on what you're seeing in the trenches? Because to me, we got everything on offense we need, but the key is having a 5 in front consistently that can keep Caleb upright, so we can see all these arm angles and seeing him getting the ball to these playmakers we got. What are you thinking about the trenches, and who do you think's on the bubble? Because I'm hearing one name that might be a cap casualty on that line.
Yeah. So one of the more interesting comments from the end of OTAs was head coach Matt Eberflus saying that Nate Davis is in competition essentially at that right guard spot. And to me, that would mean that you would have Coleman Shelton at center, and you have Ryan Bates competing over there at the right guard spot with Nate Davis, who all told would be a disappointment after they brought him in into much fanfare last year, supposed to be helping revamp the offensive line. But if anyone who's been paying attention knows that availability is the most important ability. He has not displayed that in his time in Chicago. And so there's a I guess certain level that you have to kind of fault them for not, I guess, reading some of the tea leaves coming out of his tenure there in Tennessee. At the same time, if they're prepared to move on from him that fast, I take my hat off to them for having conviction to do so when they see that it's not working. I think one of the worst things that teams do is kind of push the envelope or kick the can down the road when all the signs point to a certain outcome. And so if they are seeing that it's just not going to improve with the Nate Davis, then I commend them for being so aggressive in replacing him. And like I said, that to me would mean that there's a Coleman Shelton and you have Ryan Bates at right guard.
Yeah, we know Ryan Post doesn't allow mistakes to snowball. We saw that with Chase Claypool, and so if he has conviction and he says that it just didn't work out, then hey, I'm all for it. I want the best 5 guys there protecting Caleb Williams when the season starts. So let's hope that works out. But how are you feeling overall about the level of competition at the offensive line? Just because we didn't bring in much to say that Ryan Poles is a trench guy, and we all know that the game is won and lost in the trenches. How are you feeling about what the Bears did do and bring in the trenches? And you didn't mention Connor Williams. Would you be in favor of bringing in another body in Connor Williams, let's just say on a prove-it deal? That's because I know everyone's going to say, hey, it's called, we don't want to pay him. But wherever he goes, it's probably going to be on a prove-it deal. I think it's beneficial for whatever team picks him up and for him. So how do you think about that?
So if I'm not mistaken, Connor Williams was contemplating retirement at one point this year, or it was a possibility because of how severe the knee injury that he suffered was.
Wow.
If I'm the Bears and we're talking about, continuity along the offensive line, I need a guy that I can count on. And to me, that would mean going somewhere younger and somewhere that we can get more cross control out of them. 1-year prove deal is great when you're trying to find that one missing piece, but we're talking about maybe 2 to up to 3 missing pieces up front for the Bears this season. So you've got to get guys that can lock in. That's why I said Shelton at center, because he's guys who got the starting experience there. Bates is the guy that's shown the versatility and the ability to be durable, something that the Bears didn't have last year with a Lucas Patrick, right? With the Cody Whitehair even at times. So these are things that when I think about who to bring in and why I would not necessarily go for a Connor, I wouldn't be upset with it, but that's not a move that I think I would target if I was Ryan Poles. We saw what happened when they tried to bring in 2 offensive linemen to the process, Riley Reef and Michael Schofield late last season. It didn't really pan out for either one of those guys, to be honest with you.
No.
And so that's kind of where I go. I would probably look more internal than I would. And then as far as the level of competition, I'm not mad at it. You have your tackles, I think, set. And I like Tevin Jenkins if he can stay healthy. So that just limits you down to 2 spots that you have to figure out. And if you have the durable guys in Bates and Shelton, you can kind of plan around having them, I guess, be your quote unquote weakest 2 spots, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I'm looking at swing tackle. Like I just don't see Larry Bourne at $3.2 million making this roster. Like I just don't see it, because they picked up several tackles in free agency, and then they drafted the kid out of Yale. That he can play tackle as well. And, a lot of people say, well, he can slide in and play guard. But, every time I saw Borman, like that Washington game, being at that game and seeing like Chase Young had 11 hurries that game. Luckily, Justin was quick enough to spin out and he saw it coming before he got there. But like Borum was getting beat like a drum. So I just don't see Borum. I don't see Travis Homer I just don't, because like Ian Willer, I think that kid is going to be a sleeper as far as coming in behind Swift, Roshan, Dan Herbert. Then I can see Wheeler, because he runs a 4.3. He's quick. So you can kind of slot him to be on the kick return as well as to being, if they keep, depending on how many running backs they keep, because I know we still got Corey Blasingame as well. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at where we are positioned on the line, and last year we played a lot of musical chairs. You said one key thing, Josh: if Tevin can stay healthy for 17 games, like that, and I think putting Tevin next to Darnell Wright, I think that would be a phenomenal move as far as building continuity, and that right side would be killer. But again, we got Nate Davis 3-year $30, and I think this is the last year of guaranteed money for Nate. Yep. So at a minimum, I think he'll be a swing guard. But hey, Jatari Carter, he's been working out. He's looking good too. So that's what I'm saying. Just because he makes the money, and we saw like Sam was saying last year, PJ Walker, he had 5 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. He still got cut because he got outperformed by Tyson Bajan. So do you think realistically that could happen if Nate, like you said, availability and accessibility, those are the key sentiments in the league. and you can't make the tub, you can't make the club from the tub. So I'm just like, look, I monitor Tennessee. They was happy to see Nate go. And I'm like, if the coach they had at the time wasn't fighting, he loved his trenches. Like, he didn't even put up no resistance to keep Nate Davis. And I get it. Mom passed away. Like, we can't put a timetable on emotional grievances, but when he played, a lot of times he got whipped. Like, he looked bad against Green Bay. He looked bad. So
I thought he played decent sometime, though. He played decent sometime. No, but what my main issue is with the signing of Nate Davis and everything that's going on right now is the fact that he lacks versatility too. He's a guy who we moved Tevin Jenkins from the right side because Nate can't play the left side. So we went and paid a guy $30 million for 3 years who lacks versatility, and then now he's also lacking that availability. So even if we decided to move him to a swing guard, he can only play the right side. So which means that if the left guard goes down, then we have to move 2 people. Now we got to move someone to the right, and we have to move if the left guard goes down, we have to move someone to the left side and then put Nate in at the right side. If in fact he was our swing guard and the left guard went down. So that's my problem with the whole Nate Davis signing and everything else with it. Just right now, it's just like he just doesn't seem motivated right now. And I understand, like you said, there's no timetable on grieving, but I think that the Bears were depending on him to be the leader of that offensive line, and that just hasn't happened. And that's what my other thing about the offensive line. I think it lacks leadership. Or Josh, you can speak to this a little bit better than probably I can because you're in that locker room. You've seen the guys. Like, who would you call the leader of the offensive line? Do they have a Jason Kelsey or a Olin Kreutz or a Trent Williams, a guy who leads from the outside? Like, do we have that leader on the offensive line, a guy that galvanizes the offensive line, when they're having a bad game and, just brings everyone together?
No. The guys were Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair. Last year I was taken aback kind of by, the outwardness of Lucas Patrick's support. Not necessarily didn't expect him to support his teammates, but the profuse nature with which he praised his teammates. He praised Tevin Jenkins as being a guy who could be one of the best guards in the league. He told me about Braxton. Like, these are things that he was as outward as he was, kind of took me. Like I said, he's known as a quiet guy in the locker room. So those are the guys who were most vocal, who would get guys right. Cody Whitehair, the veteran who's been around through everything, right? Through the organizational changes and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Now you have young guys in Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Like we're talking about now, a guy who's not always available in Nate Davis. And then you're bringing in 2 new guys up front, possibly to compete for those 2 other spots. It's offensive line is going to rely a lot on coaching to, I think, get it out of a lot of jams. And it's going to have to do a lot of growing up in the preseason and early on in the year, because again, like you guys are talking about, they're protecting the franchise, the new franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of see Tev as that leader on the line too. I mean, even just from personal experiences, I went to the Lions game last year. I was right behind the Bears bench, and you could see him in the huddle with the rest of his offensive line mates, kind of pointing out what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. I don't know exactly what his words were, but he seemed to take over a little bit in that role. So it's a possibility he could make that jump this year to be the top guy on the totem pole that was Lucas Patrick. And another thing that we haven't talked about at center is the return of Doug Kramer. I know a lot of you guys don't like him, but he was good coming out of Illinois. He can get off the ball, off the snap real quick. So I think he deserves his fair shot, along with Tyree Carter as well.
Well, Doug Kramer left and they brought him back again. So that just tells you how highly they've stuck with him through injuries and not being able to use him at all. And so I think that tells you a lot about where they think that he could go in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Walt, you mentioned it before, but that was a good point. I think Tevin Jenkins is going to really take that next level because, a lot of people had labeled him as a bust initially. You know what I mean? They kept saying his back was hurt. He couldn't perform. He couldn't do all. He was always out. So this will be a great opportunity for him to step up and take this role and show them that, hey, this line, he's been a part of this line when it was at its worst, right? And people was a laughing stock. So all the Bears can't put a line together Justin Fields has always got to run for his life. So for him to witness some of that, I think this will be a great opportunity for him to really step up and show his worth. So we'll see if he does that this year. But this is one heck of an opportunity for him, though.
He just has to stay healthy.
Yes.
There's no doubt that he has the personality for it. It's just banking on him to be healthy for the enough game. I won't even say a full slate, but enough games to be that voice, because you can only lead by voice if you can lead by example. They won't just follow your voice, as we've seen the guys follow. So as much as I'm on that, I just want to see him stay healthy. That's all. Because Tevin Jenkins has all the talent in the world to be like Lucas Patrick said, one of the best guards. It's all about him being on the field.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And you said something earlier, Josh, that's key. Chris Morgan Semo, a phenomenal coach. You know, we talked at the Bear Care Gala, and I told him, I said, look, I know you don't miss Lucas, because every time we looked up, he was down on the ground. So that lets me know that the three them no guy were whipping his behind. Cause every time I looked up, I saw him getting up off the ground. So as we transition now to the skill set players, like, who do you really think? Because I heard a couple of the beat writers ask Keenan Allen who would be the first one to 1,000. But do you think there's a possibility that we could potentially have 3 1,000-yard wide receivers? What is your take on that, Josh?
I think we could have 3 guys get really close. I think the talent in the backfield and the fact that you have a rookie quarterback and the new offensive system for everybody would tell me that there's going to be some more running than maybe we'll see down the road from this group. I think they have 3,000-yard potential receivers, but I don't know if we see those numbers this year just because of all the other factors I just mentioned.
And with Keenan now changing over to Clutch Group, which, again, I know Clutch Sports real well, do you foresee an extension? Because they also represent Montez Sweat. And they brokered that deal for Montez Sweat. So, and that's why I'm glad they did pick up Rome as an insurance policy as well. In case Keenan, who's really on a 1-year deal, didn't come back at 32. So we would have some insurance of a young talent to grow with Caleb. And we see the wide receiver money right now. So everybody just sitting back like this, like, okay, Justin just got 4-year, 110, 100 guaranteed. But like DJ said, business is business. So do you see this wide receiver trio staying intact? Now, you're putting on your Ryan Poles hat past the 2025 season.
I think it depends on how healthy he is too. A lot of this team is going to be based on how healthy guys can stay, but he's going to produce if he's on the field, and if he's on the field and produces, Ryan Poles is going to pay him. He's shown that in his tenure that he's not shy about rewarding guys who are with the game plan and who are, again, on the field. So as long as Allen does, and he's amenable to what they want to do, because Ryan Poles also has shown that he has a definite cutoff point where he's not going beyond. I think that there'll be something done. I don't see him surrendering draft capital to bring him in here just to let him walk. That being said, if that was to happen, I think the Bears would be happy as long as it helps bring Caleb Williams along nicely in this rookie season.
Okay.
And another thing I was going to look into, man, that I didn't get a chance to, was if Keenan Allen does leave in free agency next year, would the Bears receive a compensatory pick for Keenan Allen if he were to leave in free agency?
You're asking the wrong guy for the compensatory formula. That thing gets me caught up all the time.
Confusing, right? Yeah.
I know this. Like I said, I think that I don't know this. I think that they are prepared for any possible outcome. I think that what the Chase Claypool trade showed Ryan Poles was that you can only plan and plan for so much in a deal such as that, right? You can only plan for what you want to give up, what you're willing to give up, and what you're willing to pay that person. You can't control what they want to do from there and how they perform on the field. So therefore, I think that they're comfortable enough with making this deal or with making the trade that they will pay him if he performs. And if he doesn't, as long as Caleb Williams was able to be comfortable in his rookie season, had Keenan Allen was able to rub off on some of the other receivers, as we've already seen happen, I think they will consider that a successful deal.
Right. Absolutely.
Josh, what do you think about our secretary? Do you think it's the number 1 secretary in the league?
I think that a lot of that is determined by the pass rush. I think that them being healthy or unhealthy last year hindered them in the beginning of the season. But I also know that there are going to be offenses that are going to be looking to get aggressive with them and get the ball out quickly because they know that those guys are back there. So it's going to depend on how aggressive this or how well the pass rush does this year. And if they can stay healthy, they've proven that they can be a top 5 unit. I just want to see him do it again. It's a new free safety. I know Eddie Jackson is not a fan favorite anymore like he once was, but he was a reliable voice in the locker room for those guys, a steadying, calming force for those guys back there. Again, another young unit that you're asking guys to step up in. Jalen Johnson's in a new role as the guy, the big voice back there. So, I'll say they have the definite potential to be, and if they stay healthy, I expect them to be. Yes,
because you just hit the nail on the head. You know, he fell out of being a fan favorite because, okay, we were already willing to accept the fact that he wasn't physical at times coming down here, making tackles. Like, you would have thought he was O-line and one of them little bull things a lot of time. He was whipping like he was making a business decision. So, you know, for me, more than anything, I'm like, okay, we can kind of live with the whipping, but now you're getting toasted in coverage. Like, now you're a liability across the board. So I'm like, last year we started looking at what young talent that could come in and supplement and replace him in the interim until we can get a nice young safety to develop. And Kevin Byard, like, he's physical and he's a ball hawk. So when he's going to be a vocal leader in that locker room, along with the ageless wonder, Mercedes Lewis. What do you think about that under the radar sign and bringing him back, John?
I like Kevin Byard as a player. I will say that a lot of Eagles friends that I have are not as high on Kevin Byard, and we're kind of happy to see him go a la Nate Davis. So I've heard about, like I said, the transition from going from free safety and strong safety to left and right is something that I am very, very much on board with. So I'm excited to see how that plays out for the secondary. But when I hear some of the stuff that's coming out, not necessarily that Byard's a bad guy or anything like that, but just that he too was getting toasted a lot in coverage and that he too was missing some of those tackles, that concerns me. When you replace a guy like I said, you've gotten rid of a lot of strong voices in that locker room this offseason. And that, I think, would be the biggest concern. Not necessarily performance on the field. I think talent will make up whatever gap there is. But if you get into some tough times, I'm just curious to see how their leadership keeps them on the right path, on the field.
And that's where I was going to go with it next. Just who are the leaders on this team, man? I asked this question in another chat room a few weeks ago. Every good team has that good vocal and emotional and leader on their team. You know, I think we've had that in the past when we were successful with we went to the Super Bowl. We had Urlacher, we had Olin Kreutz and all those guys. When we went in 2018, we had Danny Trevathan was one of probably the vocal leader of that team, and then we had Akeem Hicks and, some other guys. I don't know if we had anyone on offense, I can't say, but Matt Nagy was a boisterous personality for the offense, but we don't have that. I don't feel like on this team. Who was the vocal leaders, the emotional leader of this team? Who would you say is that guy at the moment? And I think that's why they brought back Mercedes Lewis to be that guy for the offense a little bit, because we know that there's no one on that offense that does it. But on the defense, is there anyone in the locker room that you would say is that guy who's the emotional leader of this team?
DeMarcus Walker.
DeMarcus Walker.
Yes, DeMarcus Walker is a guy who, when the mood is tense, he's playing the music loud. When everybody's up, he's making sure that the main goal is still the main goal. We've seen him handle being the guy, right? He was a big free agent signing last year. He had to handle being relegated to bench duty and then thrust back into the starting lineup. He handled all of that with the utmost professionalism. He's a guy that I asked him directly, like, how did that affect him? And I could tell that it didn't necessarily, wasn't an easy situation, but he addressed it up front. And I could only imagine he's the same way with his teammates and not trying to beat around the bush. So it would definitely be him. And then right behind him would be Tez, is a guy that we've heard has been more vocal. The juggernaut, Big Bill, has been a guy who's a leader amongst that group. And then Jalen is always vocal. Jalen's a leader. Jaquan's a leader. The defense is fine. You guys hit it with the offense, maybe having more question marks. But I think they're banking on having veterans like Mercedes Lewis, like Keenan Allen in the room to kind of balance out some of the young guys who are going to have to, be led along somewhat.
So with all these new pieces coming in, Josh, we got to put you on the spot because we did a show where we went down the schedule, and on paper, it looks really advantageous with it being another last place finish for us. What do you predict or forecast the upcoming record?
Man, okay. 7? Okay. I know nobody's going to want to hear this, but if they can match their win total from last season after all the changes that they made, I think that would be a really good year. I know nobody wants to hear that. I know nobody wants to hear that. But you're bringing in a rookie quarterback. You're relying on an aging, injury-prone wide receiver. We have questions along the offensive line. We have questions along the defensive line. We're bringing in a new free. Like, there's a lot of questions. New offensive staff, right? New defensive coach. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here that there's a lot of hype that I'm like, okay, that's cool. I think their ceiling would be 10 wins would be awesome. They would love to go for 10 wins. But I don't want anybody to be disappointed if 7 wins is where they finish for the second consecutive year, because I think that would show that they were able to keep things on track while making so many drastic changes.
And go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, I think if the Bears go 7 wins, they're gonna tear Chicago Soldier Field Stadium down.
You better know it.
But
watch out, Josh.
Because I'll tell you this though, quite honestly, 7 wins. But if we go 7 wins this year, then to me, I think that's a disappointment, because we could have won 10 games last year. You know, we lost quite a few games in the fourth quarter that we were leading in that we should have won. But for the amount of talent, like I know there's a lot of moving parts, and I know that when you have all these different moving parts, you got to make sure everybody's on one accord. But we do have people that we've signed that have been playing in this league for quite some time, so they know how to adjust to different things. But so I'm with you when you say if we win 10 wins, that would be a success. But yeah, 7 wins, I have to be honest with you. You think Chicago would erupt if they only win 7 games this year? In particular, because of the schedule that we have as well. I think we have one of the easiest. Well, I know we have one of the easiest schedules, quote unquote. You can't never really say something's easy, because a lot of teams have gotten better, and so you can't just disrespect those teams too. But if it's on paper and you're talking about record, then yeah, the Chicago Bears has one of the easiest schedules. But you never underestimate anyone though.
So I will take you back to training camp last year when coming into the season, the Bears were prepared to face another last place schedule and were hyped up because they had continuity and they had all the talent that they had built up. They had revamped the roster. After that teardown, they built it up for Justin Fields. And then they got smacked in week 1 and we had to all reassess everything. And because you project the schedule to be what it is off of last year, like you just nailed on the head, these teams are changing too. This is all prognostication based off what we saw last year and what we think might happen. And so when it comes to that, I'm hesitant to jump out to 10 wins because it's hard to win in the NFL. We've seen that. It's hard to win consistently even more. And so as much as they could have won 10 games last year, they did not. And we are also know that some of that momentum might not carry over. So I'm just baking in some realistic possibilities that, listen, guys, I know we want 10 wins, and I think that would be a great season, and I could see them getting there, no problem. However, I don't think that going back to getting 7 again is what it would be taken as. It would definitely be taken as the sky's falling. I'm not even trying to deny that. I'm fully aware. That's just where I see it.
Josh comes on here and brings us back down to earth. Look at this, man. Look, man, come on, man. Let us go up a little bit. Let us go up here.
I'm looking for you at home because see, Josh, this is why I think, like you said, at a minimum 10, I can see 12. This is going to be like the 2018 season, because on offense, Shane Waldron, a significant upgrade over Luke Getsy. Like when I say I did a brain dump on him, I forgot his name almost. Kerry Joseph, a phenomenal quarterback coach and significant upgrade over the guy we just got rid of. I forgot his name too. Andrew Janoko. And then when you go look at defense, Eric Washington, my guy, a significant upgrade over the defensive line coach and defensive coordinator. The one that got fired for whatever he did. We still to this day,
the jury's still out on that.
The jury's still out. As you can see, that's been swept, and we ain't heard nothing else about it. And look, Hoke is my guy to say, because he was there back in 05-06. Like, that's my guy right there. Like, he don't play. Like, when you talking about a student of the game, he's a student. So you got some coaches in there, I think, that's going to play a role where we're in the fourth quarter. we're not going to blow them games like we blew last year. I just don't see it with the talent. And now you matched and marry the talent with the coaching. See, that was the problem last year. If you got better coaching, a better coordinator, we don't lose the Broncos game last year. We don't lose the Lions game last year. We don't lose the Browns game last year because you can't coach scared. And that's what Gessie would do a lot of time. And he himself would disrupt the momentum with the offense. Like, the one thing about Shane Waldron, whatever's working and cooking, he's not letting his foot off the gas. So, and Thomas Brown, that's my guy too in Carolina. He's a good coach. So I think we got better quality coaching that's going to play dividends. And on offense, you got veterans like DJ, Gerald Everett. That's another under the radar signing that's going to be good. DeAndre Swift. That was a great quality signing. So when you mesh that in with the coaching, I think that in itself would get us between 10 to 12 wins, and it would depend on if Caleb doesn't have a slew of turnovers and he goes through his reads and progressions and get the ball out, because we don't want to become check down Charlie in this offense.
I think you just outlined my point, though, is that how many moving parts have to come together for that to happen to reach that ceiling. And I'm not saying it's not possible. Again, I don't want to rain anybody's parade. If that's where that's fine. I'm just saying there's a lot that has to come together. And I've seen more hype be put around teams that were worse and for them to fall woefully short. And I'm curious to see how this group handles the hype that they have and how it plays out. I just know that 10 wins will be a great season. And I just there's so many moving parts, guys. There's so many things that have to come together. So many people, even with all the coaches on the sidelines, the players still have to execute it. Mm-hmm. And with so many young guys on the field, I have to see it happen before I can completely. I've seen it go wrong too many times to fully buy in before I see it go right for them.
Right.
As fans, I think where our high expectations come from seeing what happened down in Houston last year with a rookie quarterback and CJ Stroud and an entirely new coaching staff. You got all these moving pieces, and they were able to just put it together in one off season together. And we look at what we have. We have a defense that was ranked in the top 5 in the final weeks of the year, and who should be able to, be the strength of this team this year. We have an offense that's developing and hopefully develops as fast as, or if not better than what we saw down in Houston. So with the influx of skill position players that we have, that were much better than what they had down there in Houston. So I think that's where the high expectations come from. And if for some reason the Bears don't meet those expectations and we are at 7 wins again, then I don't know if we have to look at Flutes and say, hey, what went wrong here? What did go wrong here? Because I think everyone is expecting this thing to hit the ground running. Maybe not in the first few weeks, but we're expecting better than 7 games. Even if we're at 8 or 9 games, I think that people will be a little bit more satisfied. And then I think it's also going to depend on the way that we lose games. I think, like, if we're getting blown out, that's one thing. But if we're close in games and hey, we're giving up scores at the end of games, or players are making mistakes, mental errors or something like that, then that's one way to lose games. And then I think we can accept that a little bit more than if that's the way that we end up at 7 wins. But man, 7 wins is going to be hard to swallow.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would come about the same way. I wouldn't think that it would be by blown. I just think they'd be facing tough competition. I think that there's a chance that the competition, your schedule is tougher than you initially thought, that your talent is not as reliable or as productive as you hoped for, that it takes a little longer to. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's that any of those expectations are unrealistic. My expectation is just that for the 7 wins, I think that would be good with all that they've done this offseason.
You're not wrong, Josh. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that, but you got to look at 7 wins as the basement, not the floor.
Yeah, no, yes. Well, yes, no,
yes, absolutely.
I 100%. If they get anything worse than that, then that's 100%. I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah, because Will, you touched on it before talking about the coaching staff. We won 7 games with might as well just call them brain dead, right?
Yeah.
The talent has been some change. We brought in some veteran players like Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett. A lot of the other younger players that were on last year learning the ropes are now back, like Tyreek Stevenson. They're going to get better. We didn't bring in a whole ton of people. Yes, we brought in a rookie quarterback, of course, but he's a little different. He seems like a guy who can come in, learn the system pretty quickly, and he's not going to crumble. I don't see Caleb Williams crumbling under the pressure of the NFL versus some of these other guys.
If Caleb is the goods, then the sky's the limit, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just at a point where I need to see them do it before I buy into the stuff that they put down, because again, I've seen this organization, maybe not this group, but this organization put forth a lot of talented groups. You can compare, put them whatever ranking you want to, but I've seen them put out talented groups with a lot of expectations and them fall, like I said, flat on their faces. So I'm not wishing for that. I do think that 7 wins would be a floor expectation, but that's just because
I'm gonna fly out from Florida if that's the case. but speaking of quarterbacks, that was a good point. I've been hearing a lot of stuff. I mean, I know we have Tyson Bagent there, but how strongly do you feel that Chicago Bears should really go out and consider signing a veteran quarterback?
So that was actually my biggest concern coming into the offseason program after the draft, was that they didn't address, we can say Caleb is the guy, but the most consistent way we've seen those guys become the guys is by sitting and learning. You can point to CJ Stroud and Joe Burrow, but those are exceptions rather than the rule. I think the rule is you try to let that guy sit and get a year of experience. The guy that Caleb's been compared to, Patrick Mahomes, was admittedly not Patrick Mahomes that we know today in his first year. And so that was my biggest concern. That being said, again, if Caleb is the goods, none of this will matter, right? They won't need the backup guy. And I do think that Bagent is in a legitimate battle for his roster spot, because you don't bring in a Brett Rippon, who looked good in the limited action that I saw him in, to not compete for that backup spot. And then you have, the other backup quarterbacks who are the friends with Caleb and all that. There's some competition there for Tyson this year that wasn't around last year.
Do you think Chicago should go out and get someone like
Ryan
Tannehill or something like that? Now, I looked at Ryan Tannehill's number in comparison to a couple games in comparison to what with Bagent, and they were almost neck and neck, on some of the statistics. So, but how do you feel about Ryan Tannehill as quote unquote a second string guy in the event that something happens to Caleb or Caleb doesn't have the season that a lot of people project him to?
I haven't seen much from Ryan Tannehill to make me believe that he could elevate your group. And I think that if your starting quarterback goes down, you're in trouble anyway. But I'm not sure that Tannehill is a guy that you want to turn to in those situations, because I'm not sure, especially you haven't had him in this entire time. So it takes quarterbacks a while to get well-versed in the offense, and that guy has to have complete command. I think that even if you had a Tannehill come in to the room, I think that you might even see him have to work and beat out a Brett Rippon for that spot, because Rippon has the institutional knowledge of the offense.
Fair enough.
Ooh, boy, Josh dropping them gems. So look, before we let you go to get back to that fiance and them 2 kids, Josh, are you going to any road games this year? Because we know you're going to be at all the home games.
I'm trying, man. It's expensive. Travel is expensive, and I got a kid in high school and one going into the 4th grade. It is. I'm trying to get to some closes. I'm trying to maybe get to some division ones and try to branch out from there. But I definitely want to start hitting more road games, because missing out on a lot of stuff without the travel.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm asking, because I went to, I think, 5 road games last year, and look, we had a blast. Like, even though that Detroit game still hurts me to this day, because I was talking so much trash, and the stadium was empty, and I look up, these folks done scored 2 touchdowns. Matter of fact, I met Mojo Brooks at that game, so we was kind of like in the same section. So we was talking trash, and then he hit me. He's like, "Man, we about to celebrate." And then 4 minutes later, we look at each other like, right. And see, look, I think it was a conspiracy, Josh, because Roger Goodell was there, and I look up, he's promoting the draft because it was in Detroit, and then he taking pictures with Kendra Lusk, who was a porn star. So I said, look, this was a setup.
You and your conspiracies,
man. Theories, right? Oh,
gracious! Well, that was a reach there, boy.
That game is one of the prime examples of what I talk about. With anything can happen any given week, and before the game is over. So that's. I think about moments like those when I put out predictions, like, oh man, I just don't want to set the bar too high, because it can really, really come back to bite you.
No, you're right. You're like, that game to me, it really curbs your expectation, because like I told Tyler Scott, I really expected him to make that catch, and I'm like, you know, I know he's a rookie, but it's just like when your numbers call, like the lights are on.
Yeah.
Look, you got to show up at the
You
party.
got to produce.
Yeah, you got to produce.
Absolutely.
I talked to him about that catch, and him and Robert Tonyan were two of the most forthcoming guys about their drops and their big, misses in big moments. Tyler Scott to me is an interesting character because this is a guy we got to remember. He played running back for most of his upbringing, and so he's still learning the position. And to me, if you start off as a running back, that lets me know that there were questions at least about your hands. And so it's not surprising for me to see a young. I'm just being honest. You're
spot on with that one though.
So, if you're a young guy who is still somewhat learning a new position and it's a big moment, when I put it all together, I'm not surprised, and I'm really more putting it on the coaches for putting him in that situation.
Oh, come on!
I was waiting for you to finish to say the same thing. Yes.
And so that's Tyler Scott is a guy that I want to say I expect big things for, but they've made it tough for him in that room. He's going to have to make his mark on the return game first and in special teams before he can probably earn some more trust back in the offense. But it did not surprise me that it played out the way it did for him in those type of moments.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, hey guys, y'all got anything else for Josh? Look, Josh got to get back to the family now. Y'all got anything else for Josh?
Hey, I'll any of you guys going to London?
We talking about it. Remember, we talked about it.
Hey, look, I'll be there. So none of y'all not going. I'm bringing y'all some stuff back. So,
Josh, you going to the Hall of Fame, Josh?
To the Hall of Fame game? No, I cannot travel to the Hall of Fame. Listen, I'm telling you guys, I'm working. I'm putting on my.
You got a high school.
That's what the grind is for. Is to get to the travel. I needed here. I'm needed in places.
Well, Josh, you can align with us, and like I said, we can definitely help you facilitate some things. Like I said, during the season, we want to, if your schedule permits, probably look at doing, if not a weekly show, a monthly show, or something, just to do a recap. Because, like I said, we're gonna be at the games, we're gonna be really actively involved. So, we want to align ourselves with people that actually know what they're talking about, and not putting out stuff for clicks. That's really putting out. Because like I said, when I talk to these guys, that's why they respect someone like Josh and they respect Herb Howard, because you're putting out good detailed information and you're looking out for their best interest. Because when I talked to Tremaine Edmonds at the Bearcat Gallery, like just to hear the insight from these guys of how they want the media to project them and represent them, like y'all names kept popping up. So me personally, I pay attention to that stuff. And that lets me know that they respect what you do versus people out here just saying whatever, just to build their following and get clicks, and not really giving strong representation of not only the person on the field, but the person off the field. Because like they was telling me, hey, bro, we human. Like we hear everything that's being said. We see everything on social media. So, and that's why I respect these guys, because guess what? A lot of them are still kids. Like Rome, he's a kid. Caleb's a kid. So when you come in with big expectations, Zach Pickens, Dexter, when I look online and I see people saying, oh, both of those guys are buzz, like you don't understand how they was brought in, how they're being utilized, how they being trained. So you're on the line and you never even played Pop Warner football. And look, Big Dex pay attention because he be responding. Hey, what do you say? Hey, don't delete that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I my approach has been simple, is that I'm not trying to find the story. They are the story. And when I approach them, I've noticed sometimes they'll be expecting the twist or the kind of the backhand. And I really have a straightforward question, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer. I'm not trying to guide you to anything. I legitimately, I got a really good response from two things. My favorite moment in covering the team was when I asked Justin, this was in 2023 or 22 rather. I asked him about, being close with the offense. And if you guys remember, that was when he made that speech at the podium about getting tired of being close. Lo and behold, that clip made the rounds on Sports Center. Like I was super proud. That was an exciting moment. And I really had no intention of, I just wanted to know, because he had just said that he was, they're close. So how do you feel about that? Right. And he went into another answer. Last season, it was Deontay Foreman. He had gone from being relied on heavily, and then he was just nothing. I saw him sitting, I just asked him, what's going on? And he unloaded some of the frustrations that he had. It's that simple. It's not a matter of trying to create a story out of nothing. They are there. And like you said, they're humans. I'm there to just kind of get their story out. That's my whole goal.
and you do a phenomenal job, Josh. So
Yeah.
hey, like
Definitely.
I said, we definitely want to align with you this season, and anything. But if we could be a vessel or whatever on our side, hey, let us know. Because like I said, we all in this together.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the support, man. The Bears community is very supportive from the moment that I put myself out there that this is what's going on. The fans have kind of rushed to it. Now I can't thank everybody enough for all the tremendous support that's happened, and that's going to happen because I we're looking forward to continue to do big things.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. Salute to you, Josh, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We will continue to support you. Everyone in the chat, make sure you go and follow Josh on his page. I think the link to his clockersports.com is in the ticker below. So, hey, Josh, again, we appreciate you, brother. Any final words?
Thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun. You guys are really good. Thank you.
More to come, brother. More
Thank
to
you.
come.
Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Go kiss those kids and tell the fiance we let you go for the night.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Have a great one, guys.
All
All right, Josh.
See you later, man.
Josh Buchhalter from Clocker Sports. I tell you, hey, he's gonna be just like Herb, another mainstay in the Chicago media. And when I'm talking to the players like Josh and Herb, their names come up frequently because one, they keep it real. They don't take their words, twist them, and turn them into sound bites because these guys want to, convey how they feel, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So, just to hear that, it was kind of rejoicing because I don't hear that about a lot of the other beat writers from these guys. Like, it's just not the same. So when you build that type of relationship, man, it's a beautiful thing because, like I said, you're really getting that in-depth analysis and you're getting that in-depth feeling of what it takes to elevate that guy because a lot of this stuff is mental. It's mental. And Deontay Foreman, we saw it last year. You could tell that mentally he checked out when he put that tweet out there about the business is not loyal or something. He had 3 or 4 good games when he was active, and we didn't see him no more. And I knew right then and there when I read that guess what? More than likely,
The locker room was lost.
Oh, there you go, baby. He's in the building.
Dang, Will. I didn't expect the intro like that.
Hey, man.
Dang.
Good to
Dang.
see you here, Swift. But guys, I gotta take my leave. So you all enjoy the rest of the
All
night.
right, Walt. Hey,
All
right, Walt.
I gotta
Take
get
care of
Walt.
Take care of that woman.
Don't take care of that woman, Walt.
I'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care of the
All right.
woman, Walt. Hey, shout out to Walt, man. Doing killer work always, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Shout
been
out to
killing it.
Josh Buchhalter, too, man. And I wanted to answer Samo's question from earlier about the compensation picks. I'm going to try to kind of explain it
Please
quickly,
do.
real quick. Basically, it's just what happens in free agency. They do it, the players you lose versus the players you sign. But there's an entire in-depth, complicated formula that goes into it, too. Like the top 5% of teams get a 3rd round pick, then a 4th, then a 5th. But it's assigned, they basically assign points based on how many players and how much money you spend versus how many players and how much money you lose, how much other teams sign for, So basically, if we lost just Keenan Allen and we didn't sign anyone, we would get at least a 4th round comp pick, probably a 3rd, I would imagine, if he gets, unless he's hurt all year and doesn't get a big contract. But if he got a big contract, we'd probably get a 3rd round pick back. The other factor into that is if you sign guys that get cut or you wait until after June 1st or June 5th, whatever the date is, those guys don't count. You can sign them without them counting in the compensation formula, which is why sometimes teams wait to sign guys later, like we did with Unique and Ngakoue last year. And when we signed Kevin Byard this year, he was a guy who was cut, so he doesn't count into that formula. So most likely, if we lose Keenan, we're getting a 3rd or 4th round pick. That's the easy, the simple explanation of it.
Which
And
makes
then
it a smart
Will's
move
going on
then,
about
right?
conspiracy theories in here, man. What's going on?
That makes it a smart move, right? To sign Keenan Allen. That means Ryan Poles is even smarter. We've seen teams like New England and the 49ers, man, who consistently have a stockpile of compensatory picks. every year. And I'm just wondering, like, what the heck? I'm like, what is the formula to this? And why are these the only two teams that I see every year that has multiple compensatory picks? So I think having a stacked roster is going to help us, having most of our roster built out, like you said, so we don't have to go out and sign all these free agents, and maybe we end up with a few this year ourselves.
Yeah, basically the way to get it going is you lose a player or two every year and you replace them in the draft. You don't go out and overspend in free agency, which is what the good teams like the 49ers do. And then also having your coaches or assistant coaches or assistant GMs get hired by other teams and promoted. That's helps. Another way you can get it done as well. Ian Cunningham, we're talking about you right there.
Yep.
Another way we can get comp picks. So
Ian Cunningham, Shane Waldron, I did have a good year this year.
Let's make it happen, baby. Let's make it happen.
And look, I told Shane at the combine, and I told him at the Bear Care guy, I said, look, you're going to be a head coach after this year. He just started laughing. He said, I'm just focusing on building this offense. I said, look, because, every year.
Hey, you don't need to put that on him. Hey, we need 2-3 years out there.
That's right. I said, I don't put that out there. I don't want to believe that fast.
I know, right?
But the thing is, look.
We'll make up some rumors right now.
Hey, and the thing is, though, if he elevates the coach, that means Kerry gets a promotion. That's where. And then you got Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown is not a slouch now. That's my guy too.
Yeah, but we got 3-4 years for that. No need to rush it.
No.
Let's get a Super Bowl first, and then
we need a Super Bowl. Then we're gonna bring Samo in. He gonna be a coach too. And then Samo, we're gonna get you in there, Deuce.
Hey, I agree. But at the end of the day, I'm all about elevation, though. I'm all about elevation. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's a small window. Like, look what the Lakers just did. Like to me, Sam Cassell is deserving of that job.
Of course.
And look what just happened with the Lakers. And that's why they're gonna be trash. They're gonna stay trash because you're doing stupid moves like that because you want to appease LeBron. So now you can go and get Bronny. Like, come on, man. Like that's why I can't rock with the NBA no more. Like, I just can't because of stupid stuff like that. So when I look at look, Jennifer, she's a good running back coach.
King.
Yeah, Jennifer King. Morton, he cool as a fan, the running back coach. Like, when I tell y'all, we got an assortment of coaches that are detailed but like to have fun with the guy. Hoke ain't no joke. The secondary coach. When I tell you he ain't no joke, that's why them boys fly around. That's why it's a no-fly zone. And we got guys, think about this now. Josh Blackwell, Stroman, Jalen Jones, like realistically, they would be on somebody else's roster, probably top 2-3. But they ain't even
maybe 4. I don't know about top 2 or 3. You're getting a little wild there. Greg Stroman was a practice squad guy.
Yeah. He's probably third
string. He balled out.
Man, that's the Commanders, man.
Yeah, that was
you could have threw me in that. Hey, at 47, I would have went in there and got at least 3 interceptions from the Commanders.
Hey, Terry has some upside if you would put him in that game, man. Terry could have
came back out of retirement.
Terrell Smith, now that's the guy right there. Now Jason just pulled it up right there. That's a guy who probably could be a 2 or 3 on some teams in the NFL.
Yep.
Now, Greg Stroman may be a 4 or 5. I like him. I think he's a good backup nickel. He was a 4th round pick. His biggest issue so far for Stroman has been staying healthy. He hasn't really stayed healthy in the NFL. And when he did for us last year, even in his couple games, I think he got banged up a little bit too. So that's a big thing for some of those smaller guys. You got to stay healthy in the NFL and show you can play.
Right. And he's valuable to us, but man, we released him for a few weeks and then brought him back. So I mean, that just goes to show that we overvalue our players here in Chicago as fans. We know he's a good fit for our system. We overvalue guys like that, but I don't think the rest of the NFL feels the same way about them, obviously.
And speaking of systems, you guys have seen an abundance of UFL players that's been signed this week, right?
I didn't see that.
So is there any particular UFL player that you've seen or you think that the Bears should go out? I know we've been looking at some defensive ends, but are there any particular players that you think that the Bears you take a look at? Not saying that they're going to be starters or anything, but maybe just give another chance to, because some of these guys are in the UFL, because I've covered the UFL quite extensively this year. These guys were on rosters last year and the year before, and I'm sitting here like, wow, this guy's not in the NFL. So, because didn't we have Tease Tabor before?
Yep.
We
Yep.
did.
They was
And
a cornerback
Tease
from Florida. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I know Tease. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's there. So, is any particular player that you think that Chicago should get a little look at?
I mean,
we've had countless of players over the last week that's been signing from the UFL to the NFL.
Yeah, I saw the Cowboys signed a couple. I think the best players had already signed. I think I don't know if I saw Jordan. Is it Tiamu? He was a quarterback.
Receiver?
Yeah,
No, he's a quarterback.
he was
Yeah.
for the DC Defenders.
He played for the Chiefs for a little bit, and he was also the XFL's Offensive Player of the Year last year in 2023. He looked really good in the XFL. He's a younger guy with some talent. I wouldn't mind bringing him in to let him battle Austin Reed and Brett Rippon for that QB3 job. I think we're obviously set with Caleb Williams, and Tyson Bagent to me is easy QB2. As far as the Tannehill talk, I'm not in on the Tannehill talk, guys. I don't want Tannehill, but I'd bring in a guy like Jordan Teamu. And then there's one other cornerback that I liked. He played for the DC Defenders, Michael Joseph.
Yeah.
He was a good player. Michael Joseph still has some talent. I could see him catching on a team in the NFL, and I haven't seen that he signed anywhere yet as far as now.
Yeah, and you remember that player that Coach Wade Phillips,
Hakeem Butler. That's what I was just looking
I'm
at.
telling
Hakeem Butler.
he needs to be on somebody's roster
He
ASAP.
definitely does.
Yeah.
He definitely
How
does.
he signed with somebody?
I don't know if I've seen him sign with anyone yet, but he could have, but I haven't seen him. That would have been the player that I would have suggested.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, because we need more depth in our wide receiver room. We're stacked. I think our top three, but after that, man, I think it's tossed up for who's the fourth wide receiver, whoever steps up in that room. So
And he's 6'6".
Yeah, 6'6",
Butler.
going up and
Yeah.
getting Hakeem Butler going up
Yeah.
and getting
Yeah.
it.
He's big.
And can move. He can move too.
Yeah.
Good.
I wonder why the Steelers cut him, because they drafted him back in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to look at who the Steelers had in 2019 too. The receivers.
Oh,
They had Johnson. They had what's the wide
Antonio
receiver?
Brown. They still have Brown back then.
They might have 2019, maybe or maybe not. Then they had what's the kid from Notre Dame that we traded for?
Chase Claypool.
Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
They had their set guys already there, so.
That's the year they lost Antonio Brown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
They've
definitely
always been a wide
they
receiver
had a
back.
booty. They had a booty wide receiver core, man. Come on, look at this. James Washington, Juju Smith-Schuster.
They had Juju. They had
Juju
Juju and Deontay Johnson were
We're
their
good
one
together.
Deontay Moncrief
Yeah.
wasn't bad. Ryan Switzer could play in the slot. Eli Rogers was a little slot guy.
Yeah.
That's like wide receiver university. They turn out guys there. I mean,
And all of them were young too, so they were getting all the opportunities, and they were taking the opportunities away from him. They were young, and those were the guys they knew they wanted to keep. So of course they were getting all the opportunities.
And he's a different type of guy. I didn't know if the Steelers were looking at somebody that tall. They was like a little speedster that can run off and down the field. He's 6'6", so he's more of a possession. But I'll take him in Chicago.
I'd love to have him, man. That's the guy I thought about when you said that.
He'll be like Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham, when they threw the deep balls up, jump balls up, he was just grabbing them and pulling them down. So why not?
Red zone threat.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Well, I think the last one we had like 6'3", 6'4" was Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, right? How tall was Martellus Bennett?
Martellus was the same. He was 6'6".
6'4".
He was 6'6". God,
I think he was 6'6".
I
Yeah.
thought he was 4. Yeah.
And that was crazy because when we had Trestman from 2012 to 14, the offense was deadly, but the defense was giving up 40, 50 a game on the man.
Yep. What was your boy name? Mel Tucker. Yeah, Mel Tucker.
Yeah.
Mel Tucker.
Mel
Oh,
Tucker.
man.
I remember that game against the Packers, man. They had 42 points at halftime.
42 points is
Man,
lost.
that's still a sensitive subject for me, man.
And
Hey,
lost.
come on, bro. And there was another game we gave up 50.
Mhm.
Mm.
I said, man, if you don't get this cat up out here, then he went to Michigan State, got caught up with that chick.
And that's the only time we had an exciting offense, though, man. When we had that Jay
Man.
Cutler, Matt Forte, Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon
It
Marshall,
was.
and then Martell is 6'6", 270.
Six.
He could block like a tackle. He was physical. He was a leader. He talked a lot. Hey, if you were a guy that goes to training camp, that's one of my favorite things about training camp. You find out who the talkers are. Martellus Bennett, probably the second loudest player I've ever seen at Bears training camp behind Mike Brown. Mike Brown, number one.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Brown never shut up. Mike Brown would be yelling at everybody, bro. He wouldn't even be practicing that day. He'd just be on the sideline, his shirt rolled up here with his abs showing. He's got a towel over his shoulder, and he's just yelling at rookies the whole time. But Martellus, he was always trying to fight with some defensive lineman. Like, he was getting in their face, wrestling with them, and then cussing them out.
He got slam. Who was that? The cornerback.
Who did he body slam?
It was he was Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller.
Yeah.
Yep, he slammed him on his neck.
You know how much bigger he is than Kyle Fuller too?
It was no competition.
270, like, bro, pick
Kyle
on a
Fuller,
defensive
like 5'10".
tackle or a defensive end. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Poor Kyle.
I'm ready for some football.
Yeah,
y'all, man.
Terry's got his jersey on. He's ready to go.
Hey,
Hey,
this is in honor of my guy right here, man. I'm a supporter.
Man, look, that's what I'm saying.
Go,
Look,
baby.
I got all these jerseys. I'm gonna wear these Jones. I ain't about. I see folks
Got
out here
the
buying
Khalil Mack on. Hey,
jerseys.
Hey, Will's gonna be wearing a Khalil Mack jersey for the next 10 years because
Man,
he said I ain't buying no.
Hey,
more
I got
jerseys."
one in the closet too. So
Hey,
Bro, I actually hadn't bought a Mac jersey, and first time I ever won a Twitter giveaway, I won this like black salute to service Khalil Mack jersey. So sweet, got it, and we traded him like a month later, and I was like, I ain't even ever get to wear it for a game.
Wow.
Hey, have y'all really just ever sit down and went decade by decade? Because in the 80s, how many Super Bowls should we have won in the 80s if we'd had a quarterback?
At least 3.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. Because the defense was just.
Bro, I'm gonna say 84, 85, 86.
I mean, they should have won in 85 anyway. Everybody will tell you that.
Yep.
I didn't.
Yeah, man.
Then we got to the 90s. Terrible.
San Francisco came about.
2006.
Huh?
Yeah.
We should have won. Hey, in 2006, we should have won
in 2006.
Shit,
Mike Brown, if Mike Brown and Tommy Harris are healthy, we win that game.
We win that game. I agree.
I'm steadfast on that.
Devin Hester did something that no one else have ever done in the Super Bowl, and we should have won that game.
And on top of that, this is something else people don't remember. We got that opening kickoff return for a touchdown. And then on the next drive, we intercepted Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
We get an opening return for a touchdown, and then we pick off Peyton Manning. I was sky high. Like, I thought that game was over, bro. I was ready to celebrate. I'd never been that hyped in my life at that point, like that moment.
I tell you what, I was in a bar in Hong Kong watching that Super Bowl.
Hong Kong?
Really?
Never forget it. I was in Hong Kong watching that Super Bowl.
T-Spain.
Huh?
I was at the game in the rain, boy.
Oh, in Miami. Oh, yeah. See, out of all the time, it rained that day in Miami. They had no
purple rain.
Yep.
The only time it stopped was at halftime.
Hey, we were all on the same emotional roller coaster that day. I'll tell you that. Like,
Let me
right.
tell y'all something. South Beach was so lit. Y'all don't hear me. Bro, we went to Wet Willie's, me and my guy. Bro,
you say Wet Willie's?
Yeah, they got a Wet Willie's down there.
Wet Willie's was a thing now.
They started 400 to get in Wet Willie's. Man, I told my boy, I said, look, follow me. Went up to the front. I said, look, I'm with Ronnie Brown and Carnell Williams. They let your boy in for free.
He looked kind of like Ronnie Brown a little bit.
Yeah, man.
No, we were together though.
That's Ronnie Brown, Pops. Let him in.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Papa Brown.
And then look, your boy had a private party that weekend too. I'm glad I didn't go.
Who was that?
Hey, take that.
Oh no.
No, sir.
Leave that alone. Leave
Yeah,
that
yeah.
alone.
Going to the next thing.
Man, look, you know, there's a party everywhere though that weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
up
Man,
here
you
dancing
know
with
about me. I
Serena
live
Williams.
down here in Florida, so
Look,
you
I'm
already
dancing
know,
with
man.
Serena Williams. Guess who came and grabbed her though?
Drake.
No,
He said, "Drunk, I'm
No.
done."
no, this was back in no, this was it 06 or 07? It was 06.
That was 06.
06.
Your boy Vernon Davis, the tight end for the 49. He came and grabbed up. I said, man, that boy had muscles popping out of his neck. You can have a dog.
Will wow.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to make, man, look, and you had folks out there getting scammed, bro. Some chick was crying. I said, what's up? I spent $2,500 and they said a ticket fake. I'm like, well, why you didn't walk up there with the dude to the front and let them scan the ticket? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to use your brain, baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because everybody's out there getting money, bro.
Wow. I'm going to go with this next chat question. We're going to get back on football. We got Caleb Williams now. And Hendricks says, believe me, he knows Roger Goodell. The NFL wants Mahomes versus Caleb Williams in the Super Bowl. Hey, I love that.
I'll take it.
The media would eat that up like candy.
Yep.
3 times, he says, both winning 1 each. And whoever takes the third has the highest ratings ever. Hey, you heard
I'll take it
from Hendricks. Hey, I'll tell you this. Let me tell you guys something about Hendricks, okay? This guy's been telling me we were drafting Caleb Williams on every single video I posted.
Wow.
Dang near 2 years, I'm talking.
Wow.
Like no matter what my video was on, I would get one comment from a dude named Hendricks, and it would say Caleb Williams every time. I'm telling you, and I'd be like, dude, can you shut up?
Hey, Hendricks, do you have the numbers to the lottery or Powerball?
But hey, for real, hey, give us, see,
shoot those through.
give us the lottery,
Yeah,
give us the lottery tips here too, Hendricks. Just give it to us, man. We'll take it. We'll take it.
He's like, is Hendricks a script writer? We don't know. Maybe he's one of those script writers, NFL script writers, right?
He could be, but I will tell you this though: if Chicago Bears are in the Super Bowl,
I've made like 10, Hendricks. I've made like 10 of those Caleb videos, man. I just dropped one an hour ago. Calm down.
Yeah, if Chicago's, but you just imagine how big. Look at the story though. I want y'all to paint. I want to paint you with this story. The Bears were supposed to draft Pat Mahomes.
Yes,
we didn't. But if the Bears somehow get in the Super Bowl against Pat Mahomes, can you imagine how big that's going to be? Like that's going. But also just imagine how small Mr. Trubisky would feel.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But bro, let's be honest though. Would Patty Mahomes would have been Pat Mahomes with us? No.
Well, hell, I don't know.
Nah. I don't see it.
Eventually he could have probably become, but not as fast.
I don't think he would have ever been what he is now. The media darling, the 3 Super Bowls by age 27. No. Would he have probably been?
His first year he threw for 50 tutties, right? Because the first year he didn't play, but the first year he started.
First year he started, I think.
Yeah.
He threw something. He threw at least 40. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If he would have had the weapons that Caleb Williams got this year, he would have had 70.
Yeah, he threw 50 touchdowns, 12 interceptions his first season as a starter, 5,000 yards.
How many touchdowns?
That's crazy.
50.
Just imagine if Caleb Williams have those numbers this year.
Imagine if Caleb throws 40. No, just imagine Caleb throws 40 and 4,000.
Not 30
and 5,000.
If he throws 30, we going crazy. If he throws 30 touchdowns, we going crazy.
How many yards a touchdown did Geno Smith throw for the last 2 years?
He's got over 4,000.
Well, that's who St. Ralston was his coach.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And we have a same trio of wide receivers like they had last year.
Shit, this was better.
This better.
In 2022, by far would have broke every Bears single season passing record.
Yeah.
So
most touchdown pass.
Geno is nothing on Caleb Williams. Geno was a reclamation project.
Right.
Let's try to get something out of this guy who's a career bust and has way more interceptions in his career than he does touchdowns. We're going to bring him in here and he's going to throw 4,200 yards and 30 touchdowns with a QB rating of over 100. People would have thought you were crazy if Shane Waldron would have told him that before the season.
Yeah.
So let me see what he can do with Caleb Williams. Hey, what time is it? I'm gonna hibernate until training camp. I'm out.
Man,
I'm like Terry. I'm ready right now.
I am ready.
We
man.
all so excited, man. So excited. We got what you call it? Hard rocks.
Hard Rock Casinos.
Hard rock. We got hard knocks coming up.
Right.
We get that extra content, all that extra access to the Bears, man.
Man,
It's
come
gonna
on.
be a great offseason for the
Come on
Bears,
now.
man. We get that extra game with the Hall of Fame game, man.
Yeah.
So, hey, there's a lot of good content coming. Everybody in the chat, be ready. I think we're all ready right now. We're all ready right now.
And I know we asked this question before.
Merchandise coming.
Yeah, I know we asked this question before.
With the super chat. Do you think this was the plan 2 years ago? The way Flus gooses over Caleb Williams versus Justin is a stark comparison. It feels like this is a year for the Flus. Absolutely, that was the plan.
It better be the year for the flu, so he gonna be out.
Hey, look, let me tell y'all something. At the end of the day, Poles, he wasn't sold on Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. He wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
They were already looking at Caleb from last year's draft.
Because they knew Carolina was going to be trash. That's why.
So I'm gonna be honest. If Justin would have won 10 games and we still would have had the number 1 pick from Carolina, I still think they would have selected Caleb Williams. I still do.
Possibly.
Yeah, but we might have got something for Justin.
We'd have got a first-round pick for Justin, though. Yeah,
or at least a second at the very least.
Yeah, I concur with that. I do, because guess what? 10-7 in the playoffs, and at least we would have been a 6 or 7 round position. You know what I'm saying? So other teams would have been like, the Raiders definitely probably would have gave up a first.
Yeah, now we hoping. Now we praying the guy we get this 4th round draft pick.
Yep.
Hey, from what I'm hearing, they said Justin, look, he getting a lot of endorsements from management over there now. Don't believe these old stupid fraud accounts. From what's going on out of Pittsburgh, they like what they seeing out of Justin.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. Like you said, it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin's a competitor. I won't write him off. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm definitely not writing them off.
Hey guys, let me tell y'all something.
Versus Russ
This is going to be a
33,
special. This is going to be a special year for Bears content. For Monsters of the Gridiron, we're going to be dropping some fire merchandise here soon. We got a lot of things that we're planning that the chat that we want y'all to partake in, because we're building something special throughout the entire country. So we want y'all to be a part of this journey, because this is going to be the start of something special, like literally special. So we want y'all to enjoy, because right now Chicago sports, let's be honest, outside of maybe the Sky and they borderline mediocre, every other franchise, like Bubba Dub say, is trash. But the Bears, the Bears, this is gonna be a special year, ladies and gentlemen. So you definitely want to be a part of this ride. You want to be a part of this ride.
I'm ready for the merchandise.
Look, we bring you fire content. We bring you fire merchandise. You know, we're creating some phenomenal memberships where we want our VIP to be a part of what we do in the experience, going to the games, the tailgates, you know what I'm saying, interacting with former players, maybe some current players. You never know who's going to show up at a Monster of the Gridiron event. You need to be there. You need to be a part of this excitement, baby, because if we keep this positive thing going, the sky's the limit, baby.
Squad up, right? With the squad.
Yeah. And on that note,
here it comes.